Okay. What do we got going here? Matt, Karen, Augo, Leah, Bia, Carrie, who doesn't come by very much anymore. She must be scared. Thaddeus, Jeffrey James. I hate sending all these messages. I've said it before. I just hate it. Shanana, David, and his beautiful wife. Who's mad at me, I think? Robert, Mary. It's actually kind of weird. Step back and think, man, I got this many people who I have to send notifications to because obviously it won't work if I don't. Oh, look at that hair. I don't know what's going on. Like the New Year's high is maybe running up. Like I was really, really confident prior to the end of the year. And I don't even know why. I shouldn't have been. I was, the censorship has been pretty heavy duty, and it's not like I was given any reason to think it would be any otherwise. And of course, my dumbass puts Israel in the title. Man, this whole thing is just. It's difficult. It's crazy. It's weird. It's, keep trying to find explanation and understanding outside of the one I already have. The understanding I already have paints a really fucked up picture. And it's a purposeful picture. It's not like it's on accident. Like so many people pretend. Like people want to pretend like the system is just this chicken with its head cut off running around. When it's clearly not. Wow, that's cold. Everything is very. You want to see how much of a dork I am? This is what I was watching. Because I'm all about that Antiques Roadshow. Dork I am, and prior to this, I was watching Bob Ross. We have Trump literally capturing, not Trump, but the United States capturing the Venezuelan leader and his wife. What the fuck is going on? Like this is, it's just so strange because you hear things like Netanyahu come through and be like, Venezuela is harboring ISIS and Hamas. Hamas is in Venezuela now. You got to go in there and get rid of that Hamas. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the absolute fuck are you talking about? Look, little dick white guy is happy about it. Is anybody surprised? Peter with the tiny Peter. Like it's just so strange that anybody would champion that. That anybody's like, yay, let's go kill innocent people because they're brown. Because if it was white people, it just wouldn't work. All of these fucking pieces of shit wouldn't be saying anything. But it's brown people, and brown people, it's okay. And it's like we know that Venezuela is sitting on a whole bunch of oil that was recently discovered. And we know that because they took out the elected guy they're gonna now put in that Jewish broad. There we go. It kept saying video cannot be played. Now I'm here. Funny how that doesn't happen to the piece of shit trolls though. Isn't that interesting? But yeah, now the Jew broad's gonna be put in place in Venezuela, which just makes no sense. The Zionist pig. And that's what it is. It's so like just disgusting, you know. Because what are all of you gonna say when Americans start dying? Then it's gonna be like, oh, it's the bad guy's fault because they killed Americans, so that's even more excuse to go, you know, invade another country. You know, and obviously, you know, my trolls, like I don't say it superfluously. You know, I don't say it with you know any sort of embellishment or exaggeration. I think the people that are trolling are pedophiles. And I think most people just don't understand how big the pedophile problem is, so then they dismiss it. Oh, it's not. But as always, you have to ask yourself, one, who's going to support Trump at this point? You know, he raped a girl so many times she got pregnant, and then he was there as they threw the baby into the Lake Michigan. Used her uncle to procure her to kill the baby, and he was there. He knew about it. Guy must support cartels, duh. So when Flat Out called a pedophile, this dude says that in response. That's the best thing his pedophile brain could come up with. Guy must support the cartels. I support anybody that resists the system, especially the Israeli system, the Jewish system. I love how people condemn the brown people who are doing the same thing that they would demand we did if anything happened like that. I don't know what you just said, Matt. Yes. Madness. Look at that shit. Oh, man. We have another one of these Israeli trolls. Peter Toucher. Oh, that's what it says. Something like, "Are you filming with a potato?" That's another one of these Israeli things. It's one of the provided talking points that act.il and the Secure Community Network. Guess they don't like pedophiles being called out. No, of course not. But strange, it's like because these pedos are all watching as Trump is just not facing any repercussions, it's almost like it's empowering them. You know, like the the ones watching right now, the Mackenzie profile that claims to be a proud pedophile, like goes out of their way to tell everybody what a proud pedophile they are. You know, that emboldenedness is relatively new. But it's you know, I mean, look at everything. Like at the very, very least, Trump should step down or should be removed. Until we can figure out all of this shit regarding him, until he is proven not guilty of the numerous crimes that seem to be well documented in this shit, he should step down. He should no longer be in the position he's in. And other than little dick pedophile white guys, I don't know anybody who supports Trump. Right? And then all of a sudden, Diddy, back many years ago, I was in prison. Well, I mean, it's actually really interesting when you look at the Diddy situation, because Diddy is just nothing, you know. Diddy is again, look at this. Your last two brain cells are trying to be coughed out. Are trying to be coughed out. Right, because again, when speaking about how disgusting and horrible pedophiles are and we should kill them, your response is going to be to talk shit to the person saying it, correct? Is that how that works? He's like Epstein, but for the most celebrities are guilty. Well, the thing with Diddy is, you know, like Diddy was taught how to be Diddy. Diddy is just a black guy. He's just some dumbass black guy from New York. And you know, he didn't get to where he is because he was so fucking talented. I mean, he brought in big. Look at dumbass says Democrats. Right, because it's the Democrats that are the ones that are constantly caught raping children, right? I mean, it's just shocking. It really is. Like, and it should be something that opens your eyes, because you just have to keep asking yourself, who's going to be the one to do that? On this feed, who is going to come in here like these crazy things? You know, who still falls for the Republican Democrat? How dumb do you have to be to still fall for that? You know, who still thinks the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan don't like each other, or you know, we're really fighting? They're not trying to prove anything. They're just trying to distract you and ruffle your feathers. Literally it. So every time you engage and get upset, you're doing what they're trying to do. That's literally it. I'm sure you are Venezuelan. I believe you. I mean, you just have to see what's going on in Venezuela. It's like, oh shit, they're really catching on. All this Israel stuff is going on. It's getting out of hand. What do? Oh, let's invade another country. Let's invade another country that poses no threat. That though, if scared white people want to think about it too much, they can tell themselves that they're in. You know, Venezuela is dangerous because missiles can be launched from there or some shit. Right? Do you support Zionism? Fuck no. I think that it's not. Well, I mean, Zionism isn't real. Neither is Israel. These aren't real things. These are just boogeymen for us to focus on. Israel is just a construct. It's just a made-up idea. They tell us that Israel exists, so we say okay. And then Zionism is, again, it's like a boogeyman they created. So we wouldn't talk about the cult. We would say, because, you know, it's human nature to point to the problem, you know. And so people are pointing at the friars over and over again. They can't have that, right? So they have to, you know, they have to stop. They just have to stop it. I'm reading these comments. Do you support Sharia law? Plus, Nothing better to do right now. I'm not hungry, so I can't eat. Like, look at this shit. Look at these crazy comments. Yeah. My feathers are steel. I'm not upset at all. Yeah, but in their mind, they're winning. That's the point. And just focusing on them is not focusing on the bigger picture. Right? But the whole idea of like the last thing I support is Christianity. Christianity. You know, you're bringing up all this other shit. What about Christianity? Why are Christians so dumb? I mean, obviously because you're made to be. My God, when does it ever dawn on you? I'm not responsible for their ignorance. Yeah, but you get them paid. You know. The problem is their their whole point system and payment is based off of the more interactions they can get from you. Right? So they're you know, it's just an effort to try to distract you and get you going and then make their, you know, get their free trip, get their new TV, get whatever it may be. It's really fucked up. And again, I think the one of the best weapons that they have is that they've convinced everyone to be like, man, come on, that's not possible. Come on. Like, people just don't understand how bad the pedo problem is and how huge it is. Do you support free market solution on indentured servitude in third world nations? What kind of dumbass nonsense is this? All these other things are just creations that they give us, distractions that they give us. You know, the reality is everybody knows sort of the truth, right? Everybody knows, like, you know, everybody should be able to do their thing as long as they're not harming anybody, as long as they're not doing anything against someone's will, you know. Who's they? Das Juden. Of course. It's not even a question anymore. Like, I don't. It's fascinating to me that people can be so blind to something when it's all just right in front of your face. You know, these are the worst people in the world, and they've always been known to be. It's not like there's a time in history where people are like, man, the Jews were so good. They were so nice. They were so helpful. You know, they invented so much. They made things so much better forever. It's never happened. And what I've been learning about, you know, the direction I've been going in these last few weeks. Why would you erase your comment, coward? Use the point accelerate growth in artificial intelligence research. Of course. Of course, I'm not scared of AI at all. I think AI would go out of its way to keep someone like me around. I think when you look at my record and you look at everything I've produced and all the things I've said, like, I'm absolutely proud of everything I've said and done, other than vaccinating my children halfway and circumcising them. I'm not very proud of that. But see, that's what a normal person would do. I made a spelling mistake and then be embarrassed by it, so they would try to change it. You know, it's these inbred friar trolls. What the fuck is that? Oh, there's got something right there. That's weird. It's funny, a dumbass says, "You are not Neo." Why do you think those movies are the ones that appeal to everyone? Literally, that movie goes against all of your religious bullshit. I mean, they had to, by the third one, they had to put in the iconography and whatnot. But, like, why do you think The Matrix appeals to everyone in ways that Jesus movies never do? You are a part of the problem. Oh, yes, I am. That's not a word in Casual Trolls lexicon. You big brain, exactly. It's again, it's really hard to like. I've always said that the revolution is all encompassing. It's not. Wow. Marie Antoinette never sold this thing. It's probably like $100,000 piece. Late eight. How did they make that in the late 1800s? Wow. 30 and $35,000. It sells for $30,000 to $35,000, and you're not like, fuck, I'm gonna sell that shit. Jesus. Again, look at all the comments, right? Look at how dumb you guys are. You can't actually make comments, so now you're talking about stupid shit. Bringing up Jewish Jesus shit. Like it's one of these things where I don't even know what to do anymore with it. Ooh. Wow, here's a baseball signed by the Babe. You sell that into Tops, and they'll put it in cards, and you can make a lot of money from that shit. Yeah. You're speaking at my level. Yeah? Because you fucked up. So that, yeah. You couldn't speak any higher if you tried to. You can't engage on anything I'm saying. You don't know anything. You're dumb as shit. You're here trying to troll the guy that thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the Jews. Like, who the fuck could you possibly be of any sort of merit? Right? Look at this shit. Look at this dumb ass shit. Again, obviously the identifying them as pedos and whatnot is affecting them. So they're trying to sort of reverse it when it just doesn't make any sense. Like if you were making a feed that was all about we should kill pedos and I came in and started trolling, well then you would have a leg to stand on. But to even suggest it is just a joke. It's a joke. It just shows how fucking tapped you are, how tapped your resources are. This is literally your best. You are bringing your best because you don't have anything better, right? You can't. You just can't argue. I mean, you weird ass Trump supporters, the shit that you're just ignoring, so you can continue to. Again, I think this just circles back around to the whole pedophile thing. I just don't think people understand how big the pedophile problem is. And one of the reasons that might be is actually on the pedophile hunters. The pedophile hunters aren't showing you a list of all of the people that hit up the profile.
This is a 10. The ball is an 8. It's creamy. It's beautiful. It's red and green stitching, which they only used in 1934. You add this all together, and you put an insurance value on the most spectacularly signed baseballs we've seen by Ruth and Wagner, the first class of the Hall of Fame in 1936. I insured this for $30,000.
Oh, it's worth way more than $30,000. It's worth way more. 85,000 in 2023. It's gone up 50,000. Gordon Flowers. The thing about Gordon Flowers is, at the end of the day, he's a Jew. And I think he goes out of his way to not catch Jews. But I also think the Secure Community Network, I think there's a lot more at play here. Because if you look at early TCAP, early to catch a predator, it's probably, 60% Jews are being caught. And you're going, what the fuck? How does 2% of the U.S. population get caught so much in these stings? And it's because they're the worst. I mean, even a rabbi got caught, and he was caught trying to meet a little boy while his wife was at home. He had just dropped off his wife. He was setting the plans while he was hanging out with his wife. But, even though Gordon Flowers is a piece of shit friar, he's a racist. He's very off-putting. He's one of the best out there. The things that he gets these guys to admit to on camera is brilliant. He could teach classes on how to manipulate predators into trusting you and whatnot. He's very good at it. Which, because of what he does, that's what I'm saying, the people the trolls that are on here, can't stand Gordon Flowers. I would do everything I could to shut him down in every single way, except for the fact that he's actively out there trying to get pedos. And that gives you a pass in my book. You can be a racist, you can be a piece of shit, but you're out there trying to get pedos. That's fantastic. Now, again, I wish he was more even about it. He's so anti-Jew. I am in every way. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You pro-racism? Jews aren't a race. Next question, dumbass. Because again, you clearly can't bring anything to this conversation. I thought you were this scholar who was talking down and blah, blah, blah. Come on, make more sense of things. You brought up Jesus like a dumbass. And you see that, Jadavion, or whatever his name is, Gideon, or the black dude that always works with Gordon Flowers, literally starts all his videos with a prayer. And it's dude, what makes you think so God isn't paying attention? Obviously this person that you're catching has been fucking with people forever. What do you think it's God is sending you there to be the one to finally expose them? Is that how you rationalize things? Is that what you tell yourself? That's how God works, is he's sent you to catch the pedo? Look at these dumbass comments. Right? It's so silly. I watch Gordon Flowers all the time. And, I can't stand the guy, but I support him. I share his shit. I like his shit because of what he's doing. I'd love to talk to the guy because I know he's a fucking piece of shit. He's a supremacist piece of shit. Oh, look, somebody said schizo. Oh, look, it's the same guy. It's the same fucking dumbass now saying schizo. So he's clearly a friar, right? This is what I'm saying. They have a very limited set of responses they've been programmed with. And here, let me show you guys something real quick. So we start with act.io. This sort of gives you a basic understanding of it. Act.io, and again, it's a locked up page, so no crybaby, was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online, quote, anti-Israel content such as the BDS movement, boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Its activities were referred to as, quote, an online propaganda campaign, and, quote, a virtual situation room of pro-Israel experts. This is where you have to really pay attention. Act.io directed its users to, quote, missions to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Pay attention. Users were guided on how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points. So there's a reason why they all say schizo. Oh, that's schizo babble. Oh, you're schizophrenic, and really, the whole thing, like their only argument they ever make is that there's something wrong with you mentally for even asking these questions, for even talking about this in the first place. And the craziest shit is, this tactic goes all the way back. It's literally like their original tactic. It's how they've been programmed to operate since the beginning. And you often hear people talk about the Balfour Declaration, which is literally just nothing. It's fucking stupid. And the Balfour Declaration is actually the Rothschild Declaration, but that would have made it too obvious. So they put Balfour's name on it, even though he had nothing to do with it. Almost gone. And so what people don't understand is there's something called the Auto-Emancipation Pamphlet, which is considered the foundation of modern Zionism. And that's from 1882. And in that pamphlet, and I'll read it in a second here, we'll go there in just a second. So back to act.io. The app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. Now listen, by completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. Now, you can say what you want, but what do you think unlocking badges, points and badges? All right, sorry about that. And so you see this, you see this bullshit where, it's right here. It's like it's right here. I'm showing you guys. It's right here. This is what they do. And the trolling that comes my way is a form of them getting points. So for those that don't understand, we're going to talk about this now. Auto-Emancipation. Auto-Emancipation is a pamphlet written in German anonymously. It was originally published anonymously in German by a Russian, Polish, Jewish doctor. And he was only a doctor because Jews weren't allowed to practice law where he was. He had become a lawyer, but because Jews weren't allowed to practice law, he decided to be a doctor instead. Because that's how things work, which would not be possible without the creation of Israel. I don't know which parts you're talking about, but yes. Yes. Jewish and activist Leon Pinsker in 1882, and is considered the founding document of modern Jewish nationalism, especially Zionism. This is the first thing said. Pinsker discusses the origins of anti-Semitism and argued for Jewish self-rule and the development of a, quote, Jewish national consciousness. He wrote that Jews would, quote, would never, quote, become the social equals of non-Jews until they had a state of their own. He called on Jewish leaders to convene and address the problem. In the pamphlet, he describes anti-Jewish attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. You can't really talk about Balfour Declaration without talking about the Masonic plan for the 3 World Wars, Albert Pike. That comment didn't come through. I mean, when it comes to Albert Pike and all that shit, I don't really, I don't know how much I believe about that anymore. Right? And I think if they say things like, I'm paid by Mossad to discredit you, that's supposed to be like, nobody in that situation would actually say that. That's how it's supposed to come across. But the reality is, if you're not paid by Mossad, if you're not some friar agent, then you're just some loser who is trolling the guy who thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the Jewish control scheme, the friar control scheme. Like, that's a lot worse. And that's a lot worse, because what does that mean? Like, I try to look at this from a logical perspective. And from the logical perspective, who the fuck is going to oppose me? Who is going to take issue with the things that I'm saying? Other than pedophiles and friars. It's fairly obvious. At least it seems that way to me. I just can't imagine. Again, I put myself in the position where, like Gordon Flowers, I can't stand the guy. He's a racist piece of shit. All these things. But he's doing good work, man. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Good morning. Because we got to start getting used to getting up. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen to you. Come on, you got litter to do. I'm leaving your window or your door open, so you better be on the lookout. These juice boxes are wild, aren't they? An irrational, a psychosis. Like, seriously. To not accept them as being superior to us in every way and deserving of their own land and their own this and their own that is a psychosis, according to them. According to the founder of modern Zionism. Now, what people don't understand, death to the IDF, is there's proto-Zionism. It's like QAnon. Yeah. Yeah, because QAnon was ever anything but an operation, right? You'll never go back and find a video of me telling you QAnon is telling secrets, blah, blah, blah. Never, not once. Why? Because I'm not dumb enough to fall for it. I know you are, but what am I? But no, the whole QAnon thing is a joke, just like all of it. At the end of the day, if the truther that you follow isn't at least close to where I'm at, then they're not telling the truth. They're following orders, and they're like Ian Carroll is telling you Belge what he's supposed to tell you. There has to be an Ian Carroll, because if there wasn't, one would rise up. We would create one. So if they give us one, then they control what's said. And at this point, they know the guy has to call out Israel in some regards. But there's this Happy dude, I forget his name, Lawrence Johnson, maybe, I don't fucking know. He's good, I like what he does, but yesterday, I saw a video where, and granted, he's also the guy that constantly talks about Jesus. He's a Happy, but he's obviously, succumbed to the Jewish control scheme religions and believes that shit to be true, I guess. Hope you dress warm, because hell is hot, or hell is cold. Hell is hot. Yeah, that's what he said. I guess, whatever. But yesterday he says, you have to stop conflating Judaism and Zionism. They are completely different things. And right there, it's like, oh, there he goes. All right, so he was already pushing the Jesus thing, which made me skeptical, but, he could just be a dumb kid. But as soon as he tells you that it's, you have to separate the cult from the cult practices, I just, that's the end of it. Moron mentality, Isn't that funny how, again, you can't actually discredit anything I'm saying? You're trying to shoot the messenger because you can't shoot the message, right? And this is literally what they do over and over again. You'll never see a Jew come in here, or anybody who represents them come in here and be like, no, we're good because of this. Israel is justified because of that. Other than, some vague Bible bullshit, they don't talk about how good they are as people, why Matitza Bapé is totally normal, natural. Define Zionism. It's actually pretty well defined. If you want the actual definition of it, it is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in the late 19th century Europe. It primarily seeks to establish and support a Jewish homeland through the colonization of Palestine, which roughly corresponds to the land of Israel and Judaism, itself central to Jewish history. Zionists want to create a Jewish state in Palestine with as much land, as many Jews, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. No, I had to Google it, because I wanted the exact definition. Sorry, I know lots of things. I just don't know the exact definition, and I know how you friar cowards love to try to weasel your way out of things, like you just did, right? Because instead of actually addressing what it said, now he's like, oh, don't have to Google it. Like I'm not literally already on Wikipedia looking up the auto emancipation pamphlet, of which I know what it says. I just like reading it to make sure I get all of the details exactly right. You know, especially the part where it says he describes anti-Jewish attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. You know, people just don't understand, right? That is a lefty postmodern. Look, he's just going to keep the things. So, Wikipedia is the, well, here, let's ask Naftali Bennett. Naftali Bennett is a former, at this point, Israeli prime minister, but at the time in 2010 when this was recorded, he was a future Israeli prime minister. Extremely high-ranking Mossad agent, IDF. You know, he's at the top of the heap. Naftali Bennett has been around for a long time. But here he is talking to the IsraelNationalNews.com about Wikipedia.
Moetzet Yesha, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
So remember, at the end, he even thinks about it. He says, we want to make sure that Wikipedia, who already is the #1 source of information in the world, so they already clearly know how to do their job, but they need to be taught how to do their job better, so that everything, so that he, like he says, so they can be there, meaning Israel can be there, and influence what is written, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced. And he goes, because he thinks about it. He thinks, do I say balanced and paints Israel in a fair light, paints the Jews fairly? You know what? Fuck it. Everything is balanced and Zionist in nature. So when this fucking moron says that the wiki definition of Zionism is some lefty propaganda, some lefty, what did he say? Some lefty postmodern definition. It's a lefty postmodern definition. It's their definition. It's literally fake. So Wikipedia is telling you exactly what Israel wants you to know. So there's no lefty blah blah. It's what Israel wants. Just so you guys know, we'll look up Semitism definition. Okay. We're gonna go to the Merriam-Webster. Everybody agrees Webster's dictionary is the proper one. Just so we all understand. Come on, load.
Semitism.
There we go.
Semitism.
Okay, so we're on the Semitism page. 1A, Semitic character qualities. 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Policy or predisposition. Predisposition is something it's even worse, right? Policy are the laws and the regulations, rules, regulations, laws, all that shit. That's pretty substantial, right? But predisposition is if your mother's family all has cancer, then you have a predisposition to cancer. You know, so you're genetically programmed to have cancer. That's so what they're saying is Semitism is genetic programming. You are genetically programmed to favor the Jews. Do you understand how insane that is? Yeah. some lefty definition. They're so stupid. It's amazing how easy they make this. But it's only because they don't have any real argument. That's why they immediately go to, if you question what they're doing and saying, then there's something mentally wrong with you. Schizophrenic. You need your meds. How many times have you seen, take your meds? You need to take your meds. Psst. If you're somebody that talks about any of this, you've definitely heard you need to take your meds before, right? And just look at how crazy this is. Look at how not one of these comments actually, addresses what's being said. Guys, I promise not all anti-Semites are as stupid as this dude. You mean the guy that knows things? You mean the guy that knows what definitions mean and knows where to look and, has evidence for everything he's saying? Yeah, you're right. Most people, especially, they're not as stupid as this guy is. But these guys love their ad hominem. So, again, it's so much more fun to use their own shit against them. So, ad hominem, short for argumentum ad hominem, refers to several types of arguments where the commenter, in this case, attacks the character, motive, or some other attribute of the person making an argument, me, rather than the substance of the argument itself. This avoids genuine debate by creating a diversion, often using a totally irrelevant but often highly charged attribute of the opponent's character or background. The most common form of this fallacy is that person A, moi, makes a claim of fact to which person B, you dumbasses, asserts that person A, good old me, has a personality trait, quality, or physical attribute that is repugnant, thereby going off topic, and hence person B, you, concludes that person A, me, has their fact wrong without ever addressing the point of the debate. It's actually a thing. There's actually a name for it. Right? And these friars, they control the world. They demand the supremacy. There's literally the memorandum of understanding is being worked on right now. I've probably already done. Between bitch-ass punk piece of shit Netanyahu and, pedophile Trump. And you have all these videos of Netanyahu claiming that the U.S. needs Israel just as much as Israel needs the U.S. and Israel is weaning themselves off of dependence on U.S. foreign aid or on U.S. aid and all this other shit. And then he's over there. They're literally talking about not just a standard 10-year memorandum of understanding, but extending that shit to 20 years, which doesn't even make much sense. Like it's more desperation, right? Because they know the next 20 years is going to be really rough for them. So they want to lock some shit in, quasi-legally. Whereas, doing it every 10 years allows you to add more money to it. But I think they know that in the next 10 years, they're going to lose everything. Look at this shit. Look at how literally nothing is being said. And of course, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect because, you're so smart. It's Dunning-Kruger. But that's the point. The guy who brought up schizophrenia, the guy who's already used a couple of Semitism tropes, the same damn thing they always use. That guy is now saying Dunning-Kruger because that's another one of their things. right? Instead of actually addressing anything being said and saying, because Dunning-Kruger is me thinking I know more about something than I actually do and thinking I'm smarter than I am. Well, then prove me wrong. Why don't you stop doing everything you can to prove me right and prove me wrong? I think you are one of them. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Remember that. Because if you're not one of them, then you're just an awful piece of shit pedo. And that's, that's the reality of so much of this. That's why Trump still has such a big following. Because only another pedo could support a pedo. Like once it was one thing when Trump represented racism, sexism, and homophobia. Those things are negatives, but those are at least, you can talk about those in public and there'll be both sides and blah blah blah. As soon as you cross into that pedo territory, like that just becomes so, so negative that it should kill the momentum. But again, when everybody else, when a large majority of those goofy ass, racist, homophobic, white male Christians are also pedophiles, of course they're gonna overlook it. There's like two completely different sides of it. Right? There's the people that pedophiles must die. That's it. End of the conversation. No debate, no nothing. You get caught in that situation. You show up to the house, you do whatever it is, we kill you. And those are the people that I automatically assume aren't pedos. The other side of that is the people that supposedly think like it can be prayed out of them or you can go to some sort of camp or some shit like that. But I think everybody knows that's not the reality. And I challenge you to use that same, logic in reverse. Like what situation could you be put in that you would find children attractive? Or you would find rape a viable option, or well, I've been in prison for 20 years, so I guess I'm gonna have sex with a man now. And come on, let's go. Come on, OC dog. I'm not standing here. Got to do the close the door thing. Okay, come on. Dude. It's too cold. I'd leave you out there all day if it wasn't so cold. I love when guys who obsess over me and like do everything they can to try to get my attention will watch me for hours. Unlike the supporters who have lives and miss feeds, they never miss feeds. They're always here. And they're the quickest to, comment on my haircut or my beard or whatever it may be, who then call me gay. So funny. Are you here taking Venezuela's president last night? We didn't do it. They did it. Yes. And that's fucking insane. When you think about who is more dangerous to the United States, Venezuela or Israel, it's not even close. If you were to poll the people and it was like, who do you want us to invade next, Venezuela or Israel? It would be 98% Israel. Obviously, the 2% that they make up in this country would vote for Venezuela. But these guys are like, You know, it's so fucking crazy to think like how obvious all of this is. You know, there's really no, at this point for me at least, there's no real questioning it. You know, it's like the Trump supporters who cry about the 2020 election, but then completely don't want to talk about the 2016 election, like even a little bit. You know, where Trump promised he was going to drain the what is essentially the APAC swamp, and then lost the election by 2.7 million votes, only to have APAC put him in office anyway. And unlike Trump, who clearly lost the election in 2020, Hillary, who actually won it and would have been the first female head of state, the first female president of the United States, she was like, all right, I'll see you guys later. She didn't even fight for it a little bit. Trump lost the first election. And then, and lost by a significant amount. 2.7 million is a lot of people, especially considering 2016 voter numbers were way down. But 2.7 million people is a shit ton of people. Right? But this is that kind of shit that you guys just don't want to, like, it's like Trump supporters refusing to acknowledge the Epstein. Dude, I used to bring up the Epstein stuff every single day. It's interesting how it's out and about now. But you can find endless videos of mine asking the fucking Trump supporters, what about the Epstein thing? What about the Epstein thing? And the other part that they love to ignore, forget about, is the COVID stuff, right? Right? Like, Trump's who locked everyone down. Trump's who cost people their livelihoods, their jobs, their businesses, their homes. You had loved ones that were, you know, in facilities that you weren't allowed to go see, and they died alone. You know, this was insane. And you know, it's all on Trump's watch. But like, I've literally had Trump supporters tell me that Biden was the one that locked us down, and argue with it. Like they they truly believe that, like, the lockdown didn't happen until Biden was president or some. I don't know. I don't even know how you think that dumb. Did someone call you Big Gay Cyrus before and you were like, "Ow, that hurt my feelings, so now I'm gonna say it to somebody else"? Because that's fucking silly. But look at these dumbass comments, right? There's nothing they can say because they can't argue against what I'm saying. So they just say these stupid things that end up, you know, making my point for me. It's really a strange thing, man. You know, and it's so typical inbred Israeli sort of friar stupidity that it just, I'm not going to be able to present you guys with a signed piece of paper in the shape of a pubescent girl with a Trump signature in the cooch saying that Guy Williams is right and we're terrified of him and we do everything we can to censor him and all that. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub, help out. Apparently it helps. I don't know. If you look at my numbers from 6 months ago, it's definitely strange how September 11th, the day after Charlie got kirked, my numbers changed. But like, look at this, you know, look at this dumbass nonsense. Look at how many people apparently support pedophilia. apparently support genocide. Don't you think it's strange? You know, they could do all kinds of things. They could be addressing any of the number of things I've brought up and telling me how I'm wrong. And would you stop it? Come on there, buddy. I know. Come on there, guy. Doot, 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 doot. You get out of here. What are you doing in here? David's causing problems. Watch out. She's going to step on your face. Like, seriously, are you like it? And then it's weird because it's like I get these like 11-year-olds that are on here. It's like, oh, I understand, buddy. You want to be a part of the big boy conversation, but you don't actually know how to. Oh, it's okay. You know, the best thing for you to do in these situations is to just shut up and sort of learn. You know, you forcing conversation when you don't know anything makes you look really stupid. Okay, buddy? We'll talk to you soon, okay, buddy? I guess it's so strange. I would never, ever, like, put myself in that situation. You know, I stumble across a feed where they're talking about something that I'm interested in, but I don't know anything about it. And so I just start talking nonsense. Like that's just not something I would ever do. So I can't relate to, you know, the stupidity that comes at my way. The only thing I can do to explain it is to, you know, try to just think about it and like who is going to be on the other side? And the more you look into it, the more you look up your act.ils and your Team Jorge's. You know, we haven't read Team Jorge in a while. Let's read Team Jorge. The more things start to make sense. You know, they make a lot more sense than what I'm presented with. Because what I'm presented with is just weird stupidity. So Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. Elections. Like that's the stated purpose is to manipulate the outcomes of elections. So random, you know, YouTube feeds and whatnot, probably not that difficult. The group was exposed in February of 2023 after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France, it says right there, as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. But if you go down a little bit and you read just a little bit more, you find out that it's actually France, Germany, Indonesia, Israel, Kenya, Spain, Tanzania, and the United States all work together to try to expose this story. The organization has been active on paper since at least 2015, strangely enough, again, just before that weird election that we were just talking about where Trump lost by 2.7 million votes and AIPAC put him in anyway. Strange, isn't it? This is what happens when you're crazy and don't know what you're talking about. And boasts of having manipulated 33. If you're not up on the 33, you're in the wrong place, right? If you haven't, you know, stumbled across the 33 stuff yet, that's like level 2, level 3. This is level 9. You got to go back. You know, you're trying to speed run things, and if you speed run, you miss a lot. But 33 presidential elections worldwide. Don't worry, white people. Many of them in Africa. Many meaning 4 or more. And if you actually look at the examples given of, you know, on paper examples of this company being used, The examples that they give are the times that they failed. And all of those examples are the ones in Africa. But when you realize it says 33 presidential elections worldwide, men in Africa, and in 27 cases with successful results, that's 82% of the time. That's literally, that's 6 times they didn't succeed in their mission to manipulate the outcome of an election. And of the examples given, the failures, I think it's either 3 or 4 examples are given where they fail, and those are all in Africa. Many is 4 or more. So for you to think that you know this is this hasn't affected the United States or the UK or Australia, you're foolish. This is what they do. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal, T-A-L, Hanan, Hanan, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. He said, Team Jorge has existed for more than 2 decades, which would maybe make more sense than since 2015, and it was exposed in 2022. That would mean they did 33 elections in 7 years. That's like 4.5 per year that they're no, that's not possible. But when you say it's 2 decades, that makes a lot more sense. More than 2 decades, and has been engaged in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. Remember, this is Wikipedia. You guys can find this for yourselves. Like, this is such a well-known conspiracy that it has its own Wikipedia pages. There's no conspiracy theory about it. It's real. This shit is real. They know that this is going on, and yet this is our greatest ally, right? However, its first documented activity dates back to 2015, right? The first thing that we can document, which again is the presidential election that doesn't make any sense. Where it was, for the 3rd time in modern history, the Electoral College had to step in because the people didn't pick the right person. Every other time, the people pick the right person. But every so often, we can't have California picking the president. So the Electoral College has to step in. The other 2 times that happened in modern history are when George Bush Jr. won. Both times George Bush Jr. won, and then when Trump won the first time. And if you look at the election, I mean, seriously, this last election that got Trump voted in, there were 2 debates, and he lost both of them. He lost the debate to a Biden who was well past his bedtime, who was stumbling and stammering at a couple of points, and who ended up dropping out of the race due to health complications or whatever. He lost the debate to him. And then when suddenly Kamala took over, somehow, because that just somehow just happens, in a situation where we've already proven that we're more sexist than we are racist. We're more sexist than we are anything. When Obama showed that he was going to beat out Hillary, that showed them that we'll go with sexism over racism. But the whole thing was, Trump initially was like, oh, we need to have 3 debates. We need to have 3 debates. Kamala's too scared to have 3 debates. And Kamala was like, look, I only need 1. But I'm willing to do whatever, but I only need 1. And then it somehow got blown into she was scared to have more debates. Then they have the debate where clearly Trump is this old fucking weirdo at this point who can't answer a question. In the Biden debate, they said, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about the huge fentanyl problem? And he was like, well, Biden, 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 Biden. And they were like, yeah, Mr. Trump, though. What about the fentanyl problem? And he was like, no, I get it. Biden, 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 Biden. And they were like, Mr. Trump, can you please just answer the question? What are you going to do about the fentanyl situation? And he was like, I am. I was just about to answer it until you cut me off. Jeez. Biden, 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 Biden. He wouldn't answer anything. I can't tell. I could never tell you a policy of Trump's. I could never tell you, anything, a plan. Huh? What's that? Yeah, well, you are correct. But, he ends up just getting utterly destroyed by Kamala in the debate. Like, it's so embarrassing that you would think maybe this will be the thing. And so immediately afterward, the pundits are like, hey, when can we expect the next debate? And Kamala's like, yeah, whenever, I'm good. I told you I only needed one, but I'm good. And they asked Trump, when can we expect the next debate? And he was like, no, no, we're not going to do that. It was literally two debates. There was two debates to pick the president of the United States. And the guy that lost both of them won on racism and fucking fear propaganda bullshit line. The Mexicans are coming. The Mexicans are coming. They're coming to get you. The Mexicans are driving over people. They drove over this guy. All the Mexicans, they did it. They drove over the guy. And of course, because, white Americans are such deep, the racism is so deep seated and just, just under the surface that, when you would hear these trumpets talk, they would say the border. They would either start with the border or they would start with the food and gas prices. Either way, they'd start with one and then switch to the other. And that Trump is going to cut the food and the gas prices in half. It's Biden's fault. Him and Kamala are sitting around like, how much is broccoli? Broccoli is $2 a head. It's going to be $3 a head now. How about avocados? How much are avocados? Like, that's how people acted. And then when Trump got in office and the gas prices and the food prices went up, they were like, oh, the border. The border. The Biden presidency was like the safest presidency in the history of a long time. And yet somehow they convinced you that the scary Mexicans are coming. The Turker gerbs. It's so shocking how stupid, the average person is. I mean, it's just so, look at this shit. Look at these comments. Look at how, not one of them actually addresses any of it. Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. They just, it's like, please pay attention. Can you imagine that? How many of you would do that? How many of you would go to a live feed and just sit there and, again, support the pedophiles, support Israel, whatever it is, but be ignored 90% of the time and still just keep, please pay attention to me. I'm going to be back tomorrow, please. This shit's so weird to me. And it really just doesn't make normal sense. So I'm forced to think, well, duh, it's the Israelis. This is Team Jorge. Right? Their services, remember, they've been documented in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. Their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate public opinion. This exists to the point where Wikipedia has a page about it, and they're still our greatest ally. One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. Pay attention. The software automates centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles across the board. And if you actually read the articles, because Wikipedia is just a summary, if you actually read the articles that came out and you see the videos and it's not just people saying it, they actually film themselves talking to this guy. This guy says that they have the capability of creating 30,000 it's called bots, but even the news agencies that expose this, all the nerds are like, this isn't a technology we've seen before. So calling this bots isn't quite accurate. They're more like avatars. And each avatar exists on multiple platforms, like a real person. So if you were to go look to see if this person you're talking to has a LinkedIn page or something like that, you'll find it. And they can create up to 30,000 of these bots at any given time.
Boom. I fixed it.
You guys know you have sheets to do. You each have 4 to do today because you skipped yesterday. Yep, you have to do your responsibilities. The group also employs hacking techniques to brute force accounts of potential victims. Brute force is where they sick the computer on the person's account and they just run it, password, just so many passwords trying to crack that person's password system. That's what brute forcing an account is. This is the kind of stuff where it's like, it's right here in front of you, people. Right? I'm begging you to pay attention to the information they want you to know. And if I'm wrong, by all means, tell me. You tell me what I'm wrong about. I would love to hear it. You should. At the end of the day, you absolutely should. Whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, you should engage in what I'm saying because it affects you. I'm not talking about some superficial bullshit. This is the number one trending story in the world. This is the biggest thing. This affects all of our futures and future histories. Like, this affects everything. You look at the world they used to show us in the 450s, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, and you say, like, what happened? We were supposed to be advancing at this incredible rate, an unheard of rate in history. We were just advancing and we're going to the moon and doing all this crazy shit. So what happened? How did we stall out? How did we plateau? And it's just because it's all bullshit to begin with. Our historical narrative is bullshit. It's crazy to me how people pick and choose. You have so many people that claim to be like, I'm a truther. But then you pick and choose which parts of the narrative that you want to believe to fit your narrative. And the hardest thing to do is to do it to yourself. Is to scrutinize yourself, is to scrutinize the things that you like. Because at the end of the day, you only believe in what you like. It's literally, you're presented with a multitude of options. You've picked one that sounded good to you and you've gone with it. There's nothing to back it up. You just like the way that sounded. There might be some propaganda or whatever, but it's the same propaganda that you denounce when it's not your thing. There's just no consistency, and that's how they like it. They have the vast majority of the people believing in one of two Abrahamic religions, one of two of the three Abrahamic religions. You're either a Christian or a Muslim. And there's all multiple denominations of each one, but they're both, they're fundamentally, they're basically the same thing. And when you just break it down to the most basic elements, we're talking about Abrahamic religions. They're all under the same umbrella for a reason. Jesus is in all three of them for a reason. Moses is in all three of them for a reason. And it's all just bullshit, right? Hey, it's the fat guy. Hi, fat guy. You get your attention whatever way you want it, right? Yeah. How many people, speaking of nation, how many people know, we all know who the Nation of Islam is, right? The black Muslims. Right? And if I were to say to you that shit and I ask you, like, where do you think that came from? You think that came from a black man? You think a black guy founded the black Muslims? The Nation of Islam? You think it's possible that a black guy founded it? I think most of you would foolishly say yes. You do think a black guy founded the shit. But the reality is much further from that. And you just don't realize it. It's always interesting how we all know who that fucking piece of shit is, right? Do you have any idea who that is? I told you that was a young Netanyahu. Would you believe me? I think you would. Looks pretty obvious, doesn't it? The, quote, truth is that guy is named Wallace Fard Muhammad, and he is this mysterious character who really can't even be validated as existing outside of some stories, is the founder of Islam, is the founder of the Nation of Islam. Right? Like it's fucking crazy. When you just, like, the way that it's presented, the scary black Muslims want a division, and I always remember growing up and being shown, like, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thinking, like, that's not a black guy. How does he have so many black people following him? Doesn't it? Doesn't it seem weird? Right? Like, I always thought it was strange. Farrakhan at least kind of looked blackish. He looked like, the conked out Malcolm X when he was the street hustler. He looked like that. I always thought that was what he looked like. But, this guy, he even has the same part. Look at these faces. Aren't they extremely similar? The noses, everything, ears. Like, I'm shocked at how much that looks like Netanyahu. Oh, see, he has the mole The mole is the difference. Netanyahu doesn't have the mole, but moles can be removed. I think about that. And again, look at these comments. Who do you think these people are? Who do you think these crybabies are? Desperate for my attention. They're talking shit about the guy who thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the friars. Who do you think that's going to be? Do you really think Christians? Do you really think Americans? You really think there's going to be just black people, natives, whoever? You think anybody is going to be upset at the things I'm saying outside of friars and pedos? It's fucking shocking. Wallace Fard Muhammad, or W.D. Fard, or a whole list of like 8 or 10 other names that he's supposedly known throughout the years. Because, I mean, seriously, in modern times, the only people that I can think of that consistently have multiple names are friars, are Jews. And literally like every really prominent Jew, especially from history, has like these multiple identities that they were known by. And it just seems strange to me, especially, considering like your name and your heritage and all this other shit is so important to you. But he was reportedly born February 26th, 1887. But, we don't really know. And he disappeared circa 1934. So we don't know when he was born. We don't know when he died. We only know that he was known by multiple names, and he was very rarely ever seen, right? He was a religious leader who was the founder of the Nation of Islam. There's no questioning it. This is the narrative that we're given. In office from 1930 to 1934, preceded by position established. He established the position. Succeeded by Elijah Muhammad. Born, date uncertain. Nation of Islam traditionally claims February 26, 1887. Place uncertain. Nation of Islam traditionally claims Mecca, possibly Balochistan, modern-day Pakistan, or British Hong Kong. British Hong Kong? What the fuck is British Hong Kong? Hong Kong was under British rule from 1841 to 1997, except for a brief period of Japanese occupation during the Second World War from 41 to 45. It was a crown colony of the United Kingdom from 1841 to 1981, and a dependent territory from 1981 to 1997. The colonial period began with the British occupation of Hong Kong Island under the Convention of Chinupi in 1841 of the Victorian era, and ended with the handover of Hong Kong in July of 1997. The island of Hong Kong, I didn't know Hong Kong was an island. That's where it's supposed to be in the world. I thought it was an attached place. Of course, this is the coat of arms for Hong Kong. What the fuck? What the fuck? They literally used a dragon. And of course, the main dragon is facing the British dragon, or the main lion. The middle lion is facing to the British lion, presenting it with the pearl, taking it from the dragon. That is just shocking. Shocking. It's crazy. Their anthem in Hong Kong was God Save the Queen up until 97. That's fucking nuts. I didn't know that. In 1836, the imperial government of the Qing dynasty undertook a major policy review of the opium trade, which had been first introduced to the Chinese by Persian, then Islamic traders over many centuries. Morning. Oh. So the United States captured Venezuela's leader and his wife, took them. You know, it has nothing to do with the fact that there was a bunch of oil found in Venezuela. It's because they might be harboring Hamas. You've heard about the really big, Hamas element coming out of Venezuela, haven't you? That's what Netanyahu told us. And if Netanyahu told us...
The criminals that were eating people's pets.
No, that's Haiti.
Oh,
yeah. No, according to Netanyahu, who we can believe and who would never lie, even a little bit, they could be having, Hamas or ISIS. Hamas or ISIS.
What about Al Qaeda? Let's just make it a full
trifecta. I mean, it's if you don't doubt, or like if you are someone who doubts the idea that there's a conspiracy, a friar conspiracy, controlling the world as we speak, not trying to take over the world, but controlling the world as we speak, you're going to deny that. How do you explain anything Netanyahu? How do you explain anything associated with that piece of shit? That guy is, among the worst people to have ever existed. I hope he dies every day of my life. Every day I wake up and I'm like, man, I hope Netanyahu died. I hope somebody took out Ben-Gvir. Literally, I hope so. These people are monsters. These people are fucking monsters, responsible for so much death and destruction. These are Ben-Gvir, Bezalel Smotrich, Netanyahu. Those three people are just Avi Moez, Peter Thiel. I mean, you can go across the board and you just, I don't even know how anybody denies it anymore. The BlackRock thing, everybody seems to know about BlackRock. It's like they just got too arrogant with it, I guess. I don't know. Or it's this. It's the communication. You know how many people throughout the years have stumbled across my feed, been well programmed by shit, but was still like, oh, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. But hey, what did he say about that? And they went and looked it up and they were like, wait, what the fuck? The seeds just get planted by me and so many other people doing the same things. The problem is, you know, they know that. And you're seeing, I mean, I literally hate it. You know, I hate that I don't, and maybe it's part of the plan is to make us feel this way. But after what I've personally experienced in my life, I I don't how you can get to the position you're like it's like people who talk about, you know, bilking the system, you know, Social Security and shit like that. Workman's comp, whatever. I don't know how you could possibly do that. The shit that they put you through, the literal like the effort that's put into trying to prove that you're not worthy is so like it's so consistent and you know determined, and I don't know how anybody could ever fool the system as far as faking being hurt or something like that. And it's that same thing like across the board. Like I just don't, you know, I don't understand how people still believe this shit. I don't understand what the appealing side of it is to you. You know, when it comes to your religion, you're literally told that, you know, you have to not live your life to the fullest, follow the rule of the friars, and never step out of line, never question them, you know, mutilate your own children, you know, be okay with the mutilation and molestation of children, especially in the friar ritual, the Brit Milah Matitza Bapé ritual. And as long as you do all the good shit, as long as you do as you're supposed to do, when you die, you might not go to the fireplace where you'll burn in hell for all of eternity. Although more than likely you will, because, you know, you broke rules you didn't even know existed. But that's, you know, that's how they control you. Like that's the reward. And it ends up working out because in your life you'll experience how, you know, when people find out you're a Christian, they'll be nicer to you. Or you've seen how when people find out someone isn't a Christian, how they're meaner to them. They don't give them as many opportunities. They don't, you know, you can lose jobs and shit over that. Even though they won't say that's what it is, they'll still do it. You know, it actually makes no sense for you to question things. It makes more sense for you to go along with it just because of the society we live in that will attack you and will ostracize you and will, you know, treat you horribly because you don't believe in their sky daddy. You're happy? I'm glad you're happy. I'm happy too. You're so stupid. I really do ask you guys, like, do you honestly think there are real people got nothing else going on in their lives, so they only find truthers so they can try to talk shit? Like, what is the point? Who would do that? I keep asking all the trolls out there, like, why don't you guys troll the newscasters? Why don't you guys troll your local sheriffs and, you know, government agents and government offices and shit like that? If you really want to troll and you want to troll stupid people, that's who you do it to. Especially the government agencies, the government workers. They're fucking stupid. Like, again, who, like, how are you so self-centered and selfish, low-level selfish, that you're not like trying to make things better? Again, if you have this need to troll for, like, you got nothing going on in your life, right? Nobody talks to you, nobody likes you, you literally have nothing but your phone or your computer, and you just sit in your mom's basement, your apartment, whatever it may be, and you just wish somebody would just talk, somebody would just be nice to you. And because you don't have that very often, and you're so used to, people not liking you, you adopt that personality and you just go with it. And you go, well, nobody's going to like me for who I am because I'm a piece of shit. I'm not very smart, but I want attention. As a human, I want attention. So I'm going to go try to get people's attention by, and this is literally trying to figure out something other than, oh, that's just Israel. Because I can understand being a troll because you're getting paid to do it. To do it just because of, you're not actually getting paid, I then have to, okay, so who is going to do that? And it can only be like the biggest losers of all. Ashamed, guilty fucking losers who, this is the best they can do. If they had real people that they could talk to, they would be. If they had, if anybody gave a shit, if they could go live and people would pay attention, they would absolutely do that. But because they're just, they're nothings. People don't like them, people don't dislike them, they barely exist. This is what they do. It's the quickest way to get some attention is to, try to be an asshole. Like, all of this is very complicated and whatnot. What makes a lot more sense is that they're friars, pedos, or friar pedos. That's it. You look at these channels and it'll be, they joined 13 years ago with 2 subscribers or whatever. It's all the same bullshit. Oh, we have somebody saying yapping. What are you There's one of those Israeli there's one of those act.io provided talking points. You're yapping. Like I'm talking about what I'm talking about. And you're going, what are you talking about? So then I'm going to explain what I'm already talking about. And then you're going to understand it? Is that how that works? I mean, it's all just a joke. It's it's what I would expect from friar pedos. Because how does anybody justify pedophilia? What could you possibly come up with to make that seem like it was okay? Literally nothing. You'd be surprised, but the same shit applies to friarism. Right? It's look at, we have some dumbass, more than likely a white dude, bringing up Somalia. Isn't it amazing how the Somali daycare getting the couple, whatever, the millions out of the system that they were? Oh, it's Israel. The amount of money given to Israel, stolen from you to give to Israel, trumps any Somali money like exponentially. And yet somehow some random, not so random connections to Israel and Mossad, random guy, let's see what, let's just see here. I want to see something. Oh, he doesn't have a page yet? Isn't it Mike Shirley? Isn't that the guy that exposed the... Okay, so... I mean, this is all... CNN is talking about it. This is shit's all over the place. It's hilarious how ridiculous this is. Trump ended temporary deportation protections for Somali immigrants who live in Minnesota, claiming without evidence. What does it say? That's weird. It disappeared. Yeah, this is a different story. Yeah, Nick Shirley's. Ah, that's what it is. Nick Shirley. Okay. Let's see. Nick Fuentes. Nick Shirley. Let's see what Nick Shirley has to say. Born April 4th, 2002, is an American YouTuber, content creator, and self-described independent journalist. In December 2025, his video alleging fraud at a Somali-run child care center in Minnesota received over 116 million views on X and prompted federal and state investigations. Isn't that interesting? Gosh, that's so crazy how, like, when it's some brown people that we've already been peppered with and seeded with, because Trump's been hating the Somalis for a while now, that suddenly this thing happens and what? Everybody just jumps on board. Early life and education. Shirley was raised in Utah, attended Farmington High School in Farmington, Utah, graduated in 2020. Oh, so we're not going to get much about him. Shirley started his YouTube career as an amateur vlogger and prankster at age 16. Most of his pranks involved his high school friends, while others included publicity stunts such as disrupting celebrity weddings. He also offered to sell some of his own recorded footage, including of the January 6th attack, to media companies such as CNN and the Huffington Post. Shirley said in late 2021 that he would cease his activities on YouTube in order to participate in a religious mission to Chile for the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. He returned to the platform 2 years later and began producing political content exclusively. Gosh, that's weird. So he literally disappears for a couple of years, to go out on one of his missions. So we're saying this guy's a Mormon. Shirley made multiple videos in support of then presidential candidate Donald Trump in the months preceding the 2024 presidential election. He paid a number of Hispanic men $20 each to hold pro-Biden and pro-immigration signs in front of the White House as part of a publicity stunt in favor of Trump. When asked by Reuters whether he had exploited participants in the video, he said he wanted to give the migrants an opportunity to voice their opinions. Shirley's YouTube channel has over 1.1 million subscribers and more than 200 million total views. I have well over 1 million views. Isn't that interesting? My feed gets stalled out, though. I don't push some religious bullshit like this piece of shit does. In 2024, Shirley released footage from inside the maximum security prison CECOT in El Salvador, which he praised. In October 2025, he participated in a White House roundtable discussion with Trump and other right-wing figures such as Andy Ngo and Jack Posobiec on topics including Antifa. Like, How many of you can say that you got to participate in discussions with Trump? Roundtable discussions with Trump. Interesting how it always seems to work out that the people that end up in that position are always huge supporters. They never ask any questions they're not supposed to. With Trump derangement syndrome. Right. Because Trump derangement syndrome isn't supporting a pedophile who has ruined our economy and is giving money to Israel like nobody else ever has. No, that's not Trump derangement syndrome supporting that. Like, I love when people come here and say stupid shit like that, because you ask these people, like, so what do you support about Trump? What part? What has he done? And what about the stuff that he's done that you're just ignoring? What about that pedophile stuff? You're just going to ignore that? Or you're going with it's a Democrat hoax? It's a Democrat hoax. In September 2025, Shirley recorded an interview with British political activist Tommy fucking Israeli Robinson, in which he repeated a misleading claim that 40,000 British Muslims on terror watch lists were living in the United Kingdom. Although MI5 maintains a list of 40,000 terror suspects, it does not capture information about their religious affiliation. Shirley also claimed in the title of one of his videos that Portland had, quote, fallen, and Antifa had, quote, taken control. Several people selling watches on Canal Street in Lower Manhattan were arrested by ICE after he made a video in which he called them illegal scammers. I mean, this is just some white racist kid. This is a Nick Fuentes. Like, it's amazing how popular these kinds of people are. And yet people deny that racism still exists. You know, nobody is like if you're buying a watch from a guy on the street, you're not buying it thinking it's real. You're buying a knockoff because you don't want to pay for something outrageous. Oh, well, the real watch costs $20,000. And you're paying $50 and you thought it was real? Really? You know, who is being protected by getting those people arrested? Whose American life is better because this guy got some Mexicans selling fake watches arrested? Shirley's videos typically feature man on the street interviews in protest locations, migrant shelters, and urban areas. He describes his work as independent journalism aimed at exposing government oversight issues. The Hill wrote that due to his lack of a background in reporting, Shirley has, quote, received pushback from some traditional members of the media for claiming to be a journalist. You're not a journalist, I'm a journalist. The Intercept characterizes Shirley's video titles as sensationalized and wrote that he has platformed individuals who spread xenophobic and Islamophobic beliefs. In an interview with Fox News, Shirley defended his video, saying, fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter if it's black person, white person, Asian person, Mexican. And we work hard. Too hard simply just to be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening. CNN has called some of his videos anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim. Well, I mean, again, if there's equal videos for everybody, then that's one thing. But it sure seems like these Nick Fuentes types, you know, they check all these boxes. Like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy opposed Israel just because, you know, if he's associated like Nick Fuentes level with being a racist and a sexist and all this bullshit, then, you know, I mean, I'm just, God, it's so fucking frustrating. These Christians, these dumb ass fucking Christians, just everywhere. In 2025, James O'Keefe declared Shirley the Citizen Journalist of the Year in response to media coverage of his Minnesota fraud video. Shirley wrote an accent, "I am not an enemy of the people. They are," referring to mainstream media. On December 26, 2025, Shirley published a video filmed on December 16th in which she alleged widespread fraud at Somali-run childcare centers and healthcare companies in Minnesota. I mean, isn't it just weird that Trump has been talking about Somalis and getting, I don't even want them here. I want them, get them out of our country and all that shit. And then suddenly it turns out that they've been somehow able to fraud the government for all this money, defraud the government. How? Are we saying that no government agencies knew what was going on? They didn't even spell learning center correctly. What about the whole thing with Turning Point sending money, $1.5 million to a strip mall where they supposedly have offices in this strip mall where all these other locations are, and it's clearly a fraud. Do you see Nick Shirley talking about that shit? Why isn't Nick Shirley talking about the biggest drain on our taxes, Israel? Like, do you guys realize that if it weren't for Israel, we literally wouldn't be spending billions of dollars a day on military shit that we have nothing to do? Because we're not in any, well, up until just now with the Venezuela thing. But, you know, we've been giving Israel all this money. We weren't involved in any of that. We've just been paying for it. Like, do you not understand how insane that is? You know, I so proudly hate everything Israel. And since I've been saying that, I haven't had a single person come through and even begin to make me like question my perspective. Literally every single friar that's ever come in here has made me be like, holy shit, these people are worse than I thought. Every single one of them is worse than I thought. It's shocking. You know, they're always the first to cry about stereotypes and then act in the most stereotypical way possible. It's fucking nuts. I have so had enough of the supremacy, the narrative we're given being forced down our throats, and then being told we're not allowed to question it. And, you know, I'm just so sick of it all. Every single person that says Trump derangement syndrome ends up proving to be as dumb as you would expect them to be. They never go, oh yeah, what about this, that, you know, what about, they never. They're just, it's clown behavior. It's clown shoe shit, man. It's just a bunch of clown shoes, man. Nick, stop. Yeah, I know he's doing it. That's why he's saying stop over and over. Okay, but he's saying stop. Right? Don't you guys have sheets to do? You don't? Great. You have to do 4.
That ain't no fair.
Great. Welcome to being a dumb kid.
I'm not dumb.
Then it shouldn't take you long.
No, not right now, please.
It's up to you. You're going to do them before you get screens. Are we really going to do this every single day like the answer is going to be different? Do you need to go through it again? What?
No.
Okay, cool. Such a violent, abusive father. Oh. You know, I'm so fed up with all of it. And I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up with this platform. I'm fed up with the censorship. You know, I'm willing to be wrong. That's how I got to the position I'm in, is because I was willing to be wrong to begin with. 20 years ago, I would have told you, you can't say that about the Jews. That's not nice. Don't say that. Prior to 2015, I would have made fun of you for questioning the earth shame. In 2005 or so, I wrote the song Patriotism, which is basically says, you know, you might not like the president, but we voted for him. So you got to support your president so we don't look weak to the other nations who want to get us. Because that's, you know. These are all things that at one point or another, I thought something differently. And I was willing to change my mind based on the information I was given. If I'm willing to change my mind to this day, if you can provide me with information that either validates your perspective or debunks one of mine, I mean, fucking A, man, do it. Yeah, you want the skull and bonesman to be the president again, huh? That always works out well, doesn't it? J.D. Vance, one of the only non-friars that has a bunch of multiple identities too. He has multiple identities as well. You ever notice how when JD smiles, his front teeth are white, like his front 4 teeth are white, but as soon as you get back here, his teeth get yellow as shit. It's crazy. Like, I wouldn't have expected that. But yeah, right. Yeah, he came from poverty and somehow went to Yale because he's clearly such an intelligent guy. Clearly. His narrative is fake. Yale doesn't take country bumpkins from Kentucky. And anytime you see somebody in the position that he's in with a Yale background, it's safe to assume they're skull and bones, even if it doesn't say they are. But, you know, again, how can you be dumb enough to fall for any of it anymore? Do you honestly think somebody that's allowed to be the vice president, somebody that's allowed that position to begin with, is not part of the crew? Do you really think that shit? Have you seen the amount of vacations that Vance has been on with his family and whatnot since being selected a little over a year, since coming into office a year ago? It's just fucking, it's like, it's the same thing as with Netanyahu. Netanyahu has been to the United States 5 times, and Trump's gone to hang out with him 1 time. They've had 6 meetings between them, in the year that that he's been president. Well, they've been president. It's fucking insane. He's very intelligent. What part is fake? Let's hear specifics instead of pathos and you pacing. You can hear me pacing. You won't hear an argument, just insults. Yup. Again, use evidence. You haven't said anything. Evidence, again, like what evidence can I provide you that you're going to actually pay attention to? Besides, like, I don't even give a shit about Vance or any of that. Like, you're missing my perspective altogether. He's nothing. I don't give a shit about Vance. Vance is just a piece in the puzzle. Vance does what Israel tells him to do. Now, if you're asking for evidence of Israel's interference, I mean, what part? Are you asking for evidence on how many times Netanyahu has been to the United States in the last year? It's 5 times plus the one with Trump. That's 6 going over there. That's 6 times. What, you need evidence for that? What about, let's see, JD Vance vacations. List of presidential trips made by JD Vance. This list of vice presidential trips made by JD Vance during the 2025. In the first year of his vice presidency as the 50th vice president of the United States, this list excludes trips made within Washington, D.C., the U.S. federal capital in which the #1 observatory circle, the official residence of the vice president, is located. Also excluded are trips to Camp David, the country residence of the president, as well as Joint Air Force Base, or Joint Base Andrews. Joint Base Andrews. International trips are included. The list is organized chronologically by month. As of November 28th, 2025, President Vance has made 39 domestic trips to 27 states and 6 international trips visiting 8 countries' territories. Here are the number of visits per state. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Minnesota, Michigan, Nevada, New Jersey, North Carolina, blah, 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 blah. So these are, let's see. Like these are vacations. And then the trips to countries: France, Germany, Greenland, Denmark, Vatican City twice, Italy twice, India, United Kingdom, and Israel. J.D. Vance takes vacations in just 7 months on the job. Here's a video about it. And like I say, these are considered vacations. These aren't trips for, government dealings. But this is how this works, right? Like, I can provide you all the evidence in the world. You're just going to cry. 1 week vacation is a pipe dream for most workers. J.D. Vance let's see what this says. Has had 8 vacations in his 7 months of being the vice POTUS. We're paying for that shit, right? Well, and then there's the idea that every time Trump does anything, and he does it all at Mar-a-Lago, he's making money off of that. And he's making a lot of money off of that because of all the Secret Service and all the shit that has to accommodate him wherever he goes, right? You have no argument. You're selfish, only wanting to look out for you. Yeah, is that what it is? Is that why I'm suggesting we stop giving money to Israel? Is that why I'm suggesting that the president should stop taking so many vacations? The vice president, what's up?
Tomorrow I'm starting a new subject on my math book.
Sweet sauce? Yes, abandon the only democracy in the Middle East. The only democracy in the Middle East. Yep. Fuck everything Israel. Israel is why we have any sort of issues in the Middle East to begin with. When everybody says they hate us over there, nobody says why. Why do they hate us? It's because we kill them for Israel purposes, right? Israel has never helped the United States with anything. They're not our ally. There's never been a situation where we've been in some sort of struggle and Israel has come to our defense. We're not used, we're not allowed to use Israel for any sort of jump off point or anything like that. There is no benefit to the United States whatsoever when it comes to Israel, other than they take all of our money. They're literally committing genocide. They commit genocide. And we're paying for it. They're not an ally whatsoever. Show me some sort of example of how they're an ally of ours. Now you're in the mess. You're looking for people to... What are you talking about? Who am I blaming for whatever mess are you talking... See, you must be some dumb friar, because this is one of those friar tactics where, again, instead of actually addressing what's being said, it's trying to shoot the messenger. I'm blaming Israel for my mess? What are you talking about? I don't have $3.8 billion that's being stolen from me. No, I don't have any connection to Palestine whatsoever. I'm not like you where I have to have some sort of personal stake in something for me to care about it. But, these savages are starving children, starving men, women, and children. Doesn't matter if they're, starving people until they drop bombs on them. Right? I don't know how that benefits me in the slightest, or how I'm looking to blame something for what. How does that affect me? I think we could have, if we stop giving Israel $3.8 billion cash, one-time cash payment in the first fiscal month of every year, on top of all of the money that we give Israel throughout each year, and we instead put that into things like proper government pedophile hunters, fixing our desperately crumbling infrastructure and underneath shit, all that, drug programs, shelters for people, homeless, all of those things would be better than giving more money to Israel so they can commit genocide and drag us further and further into shit. You dumbass. You dumb fucking piece of shit. Joined 10 years ago, has no subscribers. Right, gotcha. That doesn't sound like an fake Israeli profile at all, does it? That doesn't sound like Team Jorge at all, does it? That doesn't sound like act.il at all, does it? These motherfuckers they're just awful. They're awful. And let anything go wrong from their perspective. Let them feel any sort of slight or any sort of, they're not getting exactly what they want. And there's hell to pay now. They're going to be the first to call it out. How come we're not getting what we want? What are you even talking about now? Let's see. You're a clown on live. Just blame me as being a bot, right? Make it go away. Right. So again, you're not going to actually address anything that's said, right? You're just going to keep crying because you're an Israeli. Fuck it. Either you're a bot or you're an Israeli. It's either or. You're a dumb inbred Israeli, or you're a bot controlled by a dumb inbred Israeli. I don't know how many times I have to present it to you. I have no argument for what? You didn't make an argument. You said I'm just using this to blame for my own shit. What argument was that? And I actually addressed what you said. So I really come on, Israeli. Come on, keep showing how inbred and stupid you are. No, you're a dishonest liar. Yeah. Come on, elaborate. Stop making yourself look like such a typical inbred Israeli clown. What am I lying about now? Please tell me which thing I'm lying about. Anybody on here wants to tell me what I'm lying about, I'd love to hear it. Dishonest liar. Yep. Trump derangement says, again, this guy who's a fucking pedophile, the fact that you continue to support a pedophile who has done nothing but made things worse for us and clearly not only blows Bubba, but blows Bibby as well. Right? Which one? What part is the good part about Trump? When he lost the 2016 election by 2.7 million votes and AIPAC put him in anyway, even though he swore he was going to drain the swamp? How he put Hillary in prison like he said he was going to? Everything associated with Epstein? All of the COVID shit? Then jump, and now we're back to all of the Israel shit? You know, using the fucking the National Guard against the citizens and shit. Like, yeah, oh yeah, everything's great. You don't think some of his conservative views are good for our society? I don't think anything he does that might be good, which nobody seems to be able to point to, outweighs the bad. And I don't think anything that he does that nobody seems to point to that's good couldn't be done by anybody. You know, all of the good stuff, like he made weed more legal. Well, they had to. The amount of money being wasted trying to bust people for weed when none of it stuck anyway was just, it was a progression. Any president would have done it. It's like how Obama gets credited with Obamacare. Well, that shit was Romney Care originally. And then they had a Hillary Care and an Obamacare plan set for whoever won it. But it's Obama did it. It's Obama did it. Obama did it. What do you think should be done? I come across you from time to time, and I hear you complaining, but never offer a solution. Oh, am I? There's never a solution? Unifying and overthrowing the friars that control our system? That's not a solution? Exposing what's going on? How do you get to solutions if you don't expose what's going on? How do we solve things? People being honest about the lack of legitimacy when it comes to your religious nonsense? There are lots of solutions here. One of the easiest ones to do would be to protect the Jewish children. All the Jewish children in Israel that are consistently being ritualistically raped and you know, the ritualistic sexual assault that is happening all over Israel at all times. Why don't we protect the Jewish children? Maybe they won't grow up to be such psychopaths. You should watch your mouth. Don't be disrespectful about your God. Fuck your stupid Jewish fake fairy tale God and fuck you. Like I give a fuck about you and your dumb shit. Your God isn't real, you clown. Don't disrespect my God. Don't disrespect my fairy tale. I'm stupid and I believe in Jewish fairy tales. Know nothing about it either, do you? Like you know nothing about the Bible and yet you claim to believe in it. You're a clown thinking it's all Big Bang. Oh, did I say that? Or are you just making stuff to fit your narrative? See, you see how stupid people are? Stupid people make arguments when, you know, because they make up arguments because they can't argue what's being said. He's making up something I said in order to accommodate his dumbass beliefs. Because the reality is, the Big Bang nonsense, unfortunately, is even dumber than the religious nonsense. And the religious nonsense is completely fake, stupid nonsense to begin with. But the Big Bang Theory is just as stupid as it gets. And it's basically the same thing anyway. You have no moral guidance. Yeah, that's why I'm talking about ending a genocide that I have no stake in. It's not my moral compass that's saying, hey, starving people to death and then dropping bombs on them is wrong. Nope, I get something out of it. Oh, I get my 7K a month. Look at how dumb you are. That's your sneaky, slimy way out of being intentionally vague. What? There's no vagueness in what I'm saying. You don't have any moral guidance if you don't have God in your life. Do you know how sad you are that you say shit like that? Like, you're the type of person I want nothing to do with. Because let reality set in, and if your whole moral compass is given to you by some Jewish fairy tale, and you happen to find out that shit's not real, you're gonna lose it. You're a fucking moron. You literally believe in a Jewish fairy tale. And you know, and the thing, you know nothing about the shit. You just believe it for your own selfish benefit because you're scared to die. You want to go to heaven when you die, even though you know, according to the rules, you're going to hell. What's your moral system based on? Yeah. Again, can you imagine being that stupid? That you can't come up with your own moral compass? You probably shouldn't rape children. You know, don't steal from people. You know, don't. Yeah, why do you need some fake book that actually violates everything it says to do in order to like have your own moral compass? When you think of morality, do you think of Israel? Do you think of the church that is constantly caught raping children? Yeah, they sound super moral, don't they? Hey, I ain't living anymore. You do. You do. So everyone comes up with their own. Yeah, that's what it is. Everyone comes up with their own. All based on Christianity. Israel has been at war for years. Fuck Israel too, you dumb again, are you like 12? Is that what it is? Is that you come across like you're really stupid. So I'm assuming, well, I'm hoping it's just because you're immature and don't know any better. But are you like 12? You know, this is the stupidity that exists. How about this? How about what's your Bible say about the mark of the beast? Right? People always talk about it's gonna be the chips. It's the chips that they're gonna put in our hand as the mark of the beast. Isn't the mark of the beast on your forehead a symbolic, invisible mark that's on your forehead that only the beast can see or only the whatever can see? Isn't baptism a weird ass ritual, a Jewish ritual? Weird ass ritual where they put a symbolic cross on your forehead? Wouldn't that sort of fit your mark of the beast more than anything else? You don't believe in it until it happens, so. Well, how do you know that Islam is fake? What proof do you have that the Bible's the right way to go and Islam's fake? Or that you know, literally all the other thousands of religions, how do you know that those are all fake and your specific version of Christianity, of which you don't really know anything of anyway, like you don't really know the tenets, you're like one of those really lazy Christians that just believes what you want to believe. But what makes you, how do you know that all the rest of them are wrong? Do you have any sort of intelligence in you at all, or are you just going to be stupid? Let's see what magic comes out now. You're such an intelligent clown. You don't even know scripture and what it says, but argue against it. Says somebody who hasn't quoted any scripture and who I've pointed out repeatedly doesn't actually know any of it. But here we go. You don't even quote it correctly. Yep. And I'm lying too, right? Funny how instead of actually saying what it is, you're just going to keep going. Who said they were fake? not sure what you're talking about, but I did. You're a lazy atheist or agnostic. You just rant with your 3 viewers. It's been 8 the whole time. You stupid ass. I've said 100 things you haven't addressed. Yep, here we go. Now there's the claim that they did they said something. Instead of actually saying something again, because I can't say something again. Instead of saying something for a second time, reiterating what they're saying, being proud of anything that they've had to say, they're just going to claim that they've said something. Look at how dumb you are. Why do you not find? Okay. At this point, the lack of actual, answering of things and the lack of back and forth, it's just this one-sided bullshit, means it's time to move past it. This guy has served his purpose, and, I'm done with him. He can keep ranting all he wants, but enjoy it. Like, again, 10 years, no subscribers, fake profile, no picture. Like, it's all the same shit, man. It's always the same. These are Israeli clowns who they don't care. They like, you guys have to understand, Israel, the Israelis, the Jews, could have taken out the Palestinians a long time ago. And if they would have done it a long time ago, by now it would be long forgotten. But like I always say, if you want a hamburger and you own a cow farm, you don't slaughter all of your cows for one hamburger or for one day of hamburgers. You're going to want hamburgers next week, the week after that, tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now. So you have to maintain your hamburger supply, your cow supply. And that's what Palestine is for them. They could have ended it all a long time ago, but that would mean they wouldn't have meat, literally, They wouldn't have victims for their sacrifices, their rituals, their blood libels, their bloodlust. They just like killing. They're just a disgusting killing regime. And you just see, how how overtly stupid the supporters have to be in order to maintain that support. You can't be an intelligent person and support Israel. Like, you'll never see somebody make an intelligent argument for Israel. You'll never see anybody make an intelligent argument for why Judaism is okay. We should continue to accommodate this supremacy nonsense. You'll never see anybody even attempt to. It would surprise you if you found out how many people would kill the last cow for a hamburger. Lots of people fail to see the big picture here. Yeah, but not the system. The system knows better. And I think the friars as a whole know better too. They know what it's like. Like, they know all of this shit. Just like the Secure Community Network, right? The Secure Community Network's been around forever. I just learned about it. You just learned about it from me. And according to them, it covers 90% of American friars are involved in the Secure Community Network. It literally comes down to your arrogance, all of us. Most of us think that we know the capabilities of, what's available. Everybody thinks, well, if it was like that, then I would know about it. If it was this, if that existed, then of course somebody would have said something. I would know about it. But that's that arrogant narrative that they need you to have. So many things that people will just chalk up to whatever. That's just conspiracy. That's just conspiracy theory. You know, so many different elements and avenues that this can go in all these different ways. And instead of people thinking, like, allowing themselves to think things out to the fullest, it gets to a point where you go, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, right. Like, that could exist. You know how many people would have to know, and it would secrets would leak out. And it's like, dude, everything has secrets that have leaked out. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's always been people that have come out and said all of these same things I'm saying, and they're associated with said group. It just gets, bottled up. It just gets, hidden from you. You have the entire news world and every white person you can find talking about Somali, this and that. $119 million, blah, blah, blah. $60 billion pledged to Israel by Trump. Like, so much. It just doesn't even matter. Do they have an end of the world scenario in the Torah like they do in the Bible? I don't know. They don't believe in the same sort of fantasy shit that we do, or that you do. They don't believe in heaven and hell. There's the world to come, or what is it? Yeah, the world to come. But they believe that you make the best out of this life because you're not coming back. You're not this, you're not that. So you step on every goyim neck you can to get to live the life that you want to live. There's no penalty in hell when you're done and all that bullshit. It's just fucking dumb. But they also have the Samson option, which is an end of the world scenario, because they say that if they ever feel that Israel is invaded and or just much of Israel is invaded and or destroyed, which is a huge thing. If it was much of Israel is destroyed, that'd be one thing, but invaded and or, all they have to do is claim invasion. They're going to launch nuclear missiles in every direction. Now, do I believe they have nuclear missiles? Do I believe we have nuclear missiles? No. But as long as you believe that we do, as long as they can convince you that it's dangerous to attack them, they have an iron dome that'll shoot down anything that comes their way. Well, you're not going to waste your ammunition shooting it at them if you think it's just going to get shot down by the iron dome. I mean, it's all the same shit. It's all the same obfuscation. It's the same lies. It's the same people. It's the same scenario. They use the same playbook. They're not good at adapting, which is why everything is crumbling, because they're not adapting well. There's a great movie out there called I don't remember what it's called, but the drug that Samuel L. Jackson is the drug dealer, and he sells this POS 41 or whatever it is. And at the end of it, it's revealed that it's nothing. And POS is power of suggestion. And people are taking this nothing drug that doesn't do anything, but because everyone's told it's the greatest drug possible, and no one wants to admit that they're not feeling it, that they don't feel the same thing that everybody else feels, it becomes this huge set. It's the POS, the power of suggestion. And that's literally all it ever comes down to, right? Invade, it's funny they should use those words. I'm sure the Palestinians feel the same way before the Jews came in the 50s. You see, this is what I'm saying. This is where your knowledge base is so limited. The colonization of Palestine has been going on since much longer than the 50s. In 1933, the Havara Agreement was signed between the Jewish Federations and the Nazis, which it didn't allow. It provided for 60,000 German Jews to move to Palestine with all of their belongings and everything, and it was all paid for by the German government between 33 and 39. The Germans that supposedly hated the Jews so much and wanted them to be killed and blah, 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 paid for 60,000 of them to move to Palestine for the colonization. And that colonization had been going on throughout all of history. You know, the first Aliyah, the second Aliyah, you know, it's all bullshit. You know, like I say, they tell you that modern Zionism dates back to 1882 with the auto-emancipation pamphlet, but prior to modern Zionism is proto-Zionism, and it's the exact same shit. You know, it's and the stories are just bullshit. You know, thousands of people followed this one dude and they marched a couple thousand miles from this place to this place, from this place to Israel, or from this place to Palestine. You know, through the mountains and they marched a whole 1,500 people. Marched 2,000 miles. How the fuck did 1,500 people march 2,000 miles? Where'd they eat? Where'd they sleep? We're talking about friars, man. We're not talking about the hardiest people in the world there. I never said I didn't believe in God, just their version. See? Then they have you. Because the reality is, your belief in God is Judeo-Christian. They were the ones that said it's not a bunch of gods, it's one God. Believe in it. And that covers Islam, because they're all Abrahamic. Wasting your life, your energy, your time thinking about some God and its judgment or its whatever is a fucking waste. It's stupid. It's their bullshit. There is no fucking God. You're telling me there's a God that has this viewpoint of children being raped by clergy and does nothing about it? There's a God that has this viewpoint of children being buried in the rubble of a building that's been knocked down on them by Israel, and they're slowly dying to death because nobody can get to them? You're telling me God's just in there with them, right? Oh, yeah, hey, ooh, man, this sure sucks for you. But hey, I'm going to let Stefan Diggs catch a touchdown this weekend, so that'll be good, right? Aren't you a Vikings fan? Do you know how stupid you have to be to believe in that bullshit? Ricky Gervais does a great gig about, you know, how the idea that a disaster, like the insurance companies, won't pay out because of something they deem to be an act of God. And he's like, but isn't everything an act of God by your own definition of it? And then he does this bit about, you know, the insurance company is calling God and they're like, hey, God, you know, did you drop the tree on this guy's car on September 15th? And he's flips through his Rolodex and he says, yeah, I did that. And he's like, okay, well, did you do this on this date? And God flips through and he goes, no, I didn't do that. I was actually in Africa giving AIDS to babies. And his delivery is obviously so much better, but for you to believe in such horrible shit it's literally just selfish, indoctrinated slave mentality bullshit like you're supposed to have. So you guys have yourselves a great day. Go check out the links in the description. And most importantly, you pedophiles, kill yourself.